Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. And on a weekend where, let's be honest, the FA Cup isn't that attractive, we've got a very attractive debate for you. You'd take this one out for a steak dinner. You'd definitely take it to the cinema. You'd be happy to pay. It is Jurgen Klopp versus Pep Guardiola. Liverpool versus Manchester City, but more Klopp versus Pep. I think for many years, the media of this country and others would say that Pep Guardiola is God's gift to football management. But is that the case anymore? I want your comments, and I'm going to give you 7 areas which I think are the most important, I should say, 7 areas to have this debate between Klopp and Pep. So, I've got production or development of British talent. We've got money spent. We've got style of play. We've got trophies won. We've got likeability. We've got how hard the job has been for them. And we've got legacy as well. So we're going to be ranking, or you're going to be ranking as well, scores out of 7. Who wins each one? Pop versus Klopp. Pep versus Klopp. Liverpool versus Man City. Because look, you know what? I've got to say that what Liverpool are achieving this season, through gritted teeth and no sick in mouth, it is immense. It is immense. I looked at their fixtures that they've got now that they've beaten Wolves and United, and realistically, the only team I can think can stop them being invincible is going to be Man City. So, but look, there's no doubting that Pep's Man City, for whatever reason this season, have took their foot off the pedal, and I still think on their day they're a very, very good team. So where does it rank and who's the better manager? And I think, you know what, Liverpool fans are going to go, it's us, and it's very easy when you're sat atop of your tree in the situation that you are for you to say that. But there has been other clubs, there has been other seasons, and I think it's interesting to do this. So let's start off with development of British talent. And I think when it comes to Pep Guardiola, Sterling, I can't really think of... I mean, look, Phil Foden could be a good British talent of the future. Sterling, he has, ironically taken him from Liverpool, where he was a good player, but he was stagnating a bit, and turned him into one of the best players in the world. So I think what Pep Guardiola did with Sterling was quite surprising, I must admit, from an outsider. But, he has turned him into a top player. Apart from that, British players, not so much so. Easy win for Klopp, this. You could talk about Gomez, you could talk about other British players, but for me, it starts and ends with the 3. Henderson, the development of Henderson under Klopp over the last few years has been amazing. I tweeted out last night, if I'd said 2 years ago that if Henderson walked into United's team, he'd be United's best player, which he would be at the moment, I'd argue with that with anybody. I know people don't like it and it's not fashionable, but Jordan Henderson right now, walking into Manchester United's team, would be our best player. Whether he's the best talent... all right, maybe not, but for consistency and performance, he would be our best player, because we don't have a player like that. So his development and improvements under Klopp has been immense. You add into that Trent Alexander-Arnold, you add into that Andy Robertson and others, it's an easy win for Klopp. So it's 1-0 on development of British talent, which is important to some fans of some clubs. So it's 1-0 to Klopp on that one. When we're talking about money spent, I think this is it's an easy win for Klopp, isn't it? It's going to be 2-0. I mean, look, Klopp has spent money, and how much of this is on the owners, I don't know. Well, obviously quite a lot. At Manchester City, you look at managers before Pep Guardiola, you're going to get money. You look at Pep at Barcelona and Bayern Munich, he's had money. Pep Guardiola hasn't gone into a job that I would say was hard. At Barcelona, he did a great job. They were a great team. But it's Barcelona and it's Messi. At Bayern Munich, he did a decent job. He didn't win a Champions League. You're at Bayern Munich. You're probably going to win the league. And at Manchester City, he's done better than any other Manchester City manager's done. And there's no doubting that Pep's a good manager, a great manager. But he hasn't had it hard. You look at Klopp coming into Liverpool, a club that's not won a title for years, that, is struggling with its identity. Massive club, massive fan base, passionate football club with great history, but nowhere near where its fan base thinks it should be. Restructuring, philosophy, 4 years later, 3 years later, whatever you want to set the deadline at, has turned them into the best club in the world. So, the money that Klopp has done that, comparable to what Pep has spent, and you look at Pep and what he spent on, fullbacks, over £40 million on fullbacks, and then you look at what Klopp has spent for his players that he's brought in, it's an easy win for Klopp on that. So it's 2-0 to Klopp there. If we move on to style of play, I think I'd be in a minority here, because I would go with Klopp's style of play over Pep's style of play. I've given it to Pep because I think, I can't just go with, well, I am going to go with my opinion. My opinion is Klopp. But I think, I would bow down to the majority on this who would say that Pep's style of football is better than Klopp. And I must admit, when you watch City, that first half against Liverpool at Anfield, where Liverpool actually beat them, City played brilliant. They played really, really well. They just couldn't, the final ball wasn't there. And I've seen them do that a few times. And when City are on their game, they are fantastic. But I am more of a traditionalist. And, Sir Alex Ferguson against Wenger, at times you had to say, and the media would say, that Wenger's style of football was better than Sir Alex. But Sir Alex would come out on top more. Because it's a more British style of football, effectively, that Klopp implements. It's this amazing work rate, team unity, never gives up till the last minute. How many times have Liverpool won in the last few minutes? It's the wing play. It's the fullbacks getting forward. It's the speed of breaking and hurting teams. It's the individual talents of Mane and Salah to run at people. It's that midfield work ethic, but ability on the ball as well. I prefer Liverpool's style of play, even though I would rather Man City win the league, because Liverpool, as you know, United, Liverpool, we don't want to give each other anything. We'll give begrudging respect, but we'll bloody hate it because it's a real rivalry. But for me, I prefer Liverpool's style of play over Man City. But I'm sure a lot of people will say they prefer the Pep style. But for me, I did a video on this channel. I can't remember when it was, 18 months ago. You should go and search it out because it looks like I'm a philosopher. It looks like I'm a genius because I said Liverpool under Klopp are the closest thing to Sir Alex Ferguson, United. And I don't know whether Liverpool fans like that or not, but I could see what he was doing. I could see the mixture of British talent with good buys, with a strong manager, with a philosophy, with a determination that the whole club was buying into. You could see parallels. And I don't think Klopp did that consciously. I think he's his own man. But the way the club's structured as well, very, very, you can see similarities. And maybe that's what attracts me to it, because I can see that. But you know what? If you want to give that to Pep, fine. I'm going to say Klopp, so it's 3-0. In relation to trophies won, I think you've got to sit on the fence with this one on relation to trophies won, because Klopp has won the Champions League, which Pep has been unable to do outside of Barcelona. But he has won 2 Premier League titles, Pep Guardiola. Or has he won 3? I don't know. Has he won 3? He's definitely won 2 in a row. I don't count. They're all bought with oil anyway. But so I'd say this is probably a draw because, well, Liverpool are about to win a league title, and a league title and a Champions League, to me, probably eclipses what Pep has done. But Pep has won some Carabao Cups, hasn't he? So I'd say I'd sit on the fence with this one, and I think next season is already set up to be amazing. I want Pep Guardiola to stay at Manchester City, because nobody is going to challenge Liverpool next season apart from Manchester City. The consistency that Liverpool have shown, the challenge for Liverpool next year is, can they go and win the title again? Because that's what great teams do. This individual season will put Liverpool in the conversation of, are they the best Premier League side ever? To me, they've got to do a treble to do that. Forget your invincibles. The best Premier League winners, like Premier League season winners, I think Liverpool will probably have that because of the stats. But the best Premier League season, I think they need to win more than the league. But next season, I think we'll tip this way. At the moment, I'd say it's 50-50 because Klopp's got a Champions League and he's about to get a Premier League, but Pep has won 2 Premier Leagues and other trophies. So I'd say it's probably 50-50. Next season, hopefully Pep stays and we can maybe revisit it, because I think it'll be interesting. Man City will react, and Liverpool, the only team that can get near them is Man City for me. So I'd say that's a level one. Likeability. Well, what do you think? Well, who's the more likeable manager? I think, for me as a United fan, to say Klopp. And also when Liverpool got Klopp as a United fan, I liked Klopp at Dortmund. They recruited one of the most exciting managers in European football, and I think United were in for him. Because there is that story that Klopp was like, I didn't want to go to Disneyland, I wanted to go to something real, and sort of going down that United have become a business and not a football club, which he's right. But there are United fans that always liked Klopp, even though he was managing our biggest rival. For me, I sort of divorced my love for Klopp when he went to Liverpool. I was like, well, you're managing the enemy now. I'm not interested in you. You're rubbish. I hope you fail. And then over time, mainly to do with United's massive failings, you look at that and you go, well, to be fair to Liverpool, look at how they've done it. Look at Klopp. You know, I can't stand them. They're our biggest rival. But, you know, I've actually found myself not warming to Klopp. I'll never warm to Klopp. He's a Liverpool manager. But respecting him. Pep, I don't want to make it about class, but when I was thinking about this before I did the video, and this is only a personal thing, and people could, you know, you might liken it to the difference between a strawberry milkshake and a banana milkshake, but for me, it's a bit like a class thing. Pep's almost like the boy who was born with the silver spoon in his mouth. You know, his first job at Barcelona, he's got Messi, then he goes to Bayern Munich, then he's at Man City. The money's always there, and it's hard not to fail. Klopp, Dortmund, made his name at Dortmund really underneath the huge favourite of Bayern Munich. Comes to Liverpool. At that time when he came in, you've got Chelsea, you've got City, you've got Manchester United, maybe even Arsenal at that stage, bigger clubs. And he's turned them into the biggest club in the world. So, likability, for me, the story I relate to more because of my background. I'm not from a silver spoon in my mouth sort of thing, you know. I'm just not. So, I think I relate to and respect, and I think it's respect. I'm not going to like either because they manage clubs that I want to not do well. So it comes down to respect for me, and I think I just respect Klopp more. So I would give Klopp that point there as well. So for me, after I've got Klopp on British talent is Klopp, money is Klopp, style is Klopp, drawing on trophies, likability Klopp, hardest job. Definitely Klopp for me. I think when you look at Pep coming into Manchester City, they'd already won titles. Under Pellegrini, they'd won a title. The money was going to be there. The empty checkbook was there. And you look at Klopp, he's coming into Liverpool, massive institution in football, but no real major success apart from, you know, Benitez and the Champions League, which was a few years ago. But league title was what it was all about. You know, the harder job was Klopp's, and the players he was inheriting, and probably the transfer budget he had. Yeah, it's easy. That's easy for Klopp. I don't think anyone can argue that. Legacy. I think it's easy to say that the legacy. You know, let's pretend Klopp and Pep go tomorrow. Who's going to leave the better legacy? And when I say legacy, it's not just about what they've done, but how they leave the club. What's their legacy after they've gone as well? If Klopp went tomorrow and Brendan Rodgers took the Liverpool job, and let's say if Pep went tomorrow and Brendan Rodgers took the job, he's not going to do both jobs, but let's just pretend Brendan Rodgers is walking into both of those jobs. Which one is Brendan going to be more successful at? I'd sit on the fence on this because I think a manager like Brendan Rodgers at Man City and the way he plays football with an open checkbook and the players that he's left, he probably would be successful. But then I look at Brendan Rodgers walking into Liverpool with the way the club is run, the structure it's got around directors of football, recruitment, youth development, the squad that he'd have to inherit. I think he'd do well there. So, you know, I think a lot of people would say, well, Klopp's legacy is better. Historically, his legacy will be better because he's won the first title in 30 years. But legacy is not just about what you did. And if we're saying on trophies, I think it's all about next season. I think they're 50-50 at the moment. How would both those clubs do without those two managers? Would they fall apart, or have they left a legacy that there is a structure there? I'd be on the fence. I think if you use Brendan Rodgers as the example, he would do well at both clubs. Having said that, how much of Man City is just the fact that you've got the open checkbook that makes any manager have a chance walking in? At Liverpool, is the structure that's been built up around the club and Klopp the real work that's been put in there, because they've built something that isn't about an open checkbook. Maybe you could slide towards Liverpool there. But I think overall, I've scored it out of the 7 rounds. 1 for Klopp, 2 for Klopp, 3 for Klopp, 4 for Klopp, 5 for Klopp, and 2 draws. So effectively a 5-0 win to Klopp in the 7. So what do you think on those 7 categories? Get your comments in below. But to be fair, I think it's been a good video. So smash a like on the video, make sure you subscribe if you're new. But no, seriously, do that. But I think it's a good video from the point of view that it's not sensationalist. It's not about, I can't stand, and I've said this before, when people start, last season we're saying Man City the best Premier League best Premier League club ever. This season it's Liverpool. I think there's arguments that they could be, but it's always about now. Everything's better now. Well, the reality is Ronaldo and Messi were better 10 years ago than they are now. But people will say, oh no, it's better now. It's not. Unfortunately, there are times that some of us didn't live in, or we did live in earlier, that are better than now. And that can be political, but we talk about football. But we're not doing that on this. We're looking at categories that actually are enduring and are looking at the last 3 to 4 years of Pep and Klopp. And I still think Klopp smashes Pep out the park on those areas that we've discussed there. So he's done a better job, I think. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and get your comments in below. Looking forward to reading them. Speak to you soon.